House Oversight Committee. Congressman, thanks very much for being here today. A lot of news this week on this issue. What was most compelling to you? I mean, the fact that Hunter Biden's lawyer is telling your committee we're only going to do it in public. Will that stand?
I don't know. You know, they did the same thing to Steve Bannon, and Congress held him in contempt. He said that he would not come in, and then they flipped it around on him, and then they held him in contempt of Congress. So, you know, it's the rules for thee and not for me kind of situation. Not, you know, the latest on the Biden crime family is the $5 million partnership between Hunter and the Communist Chinese once again, and then you trickle the money down through Hunter and multiple shell corporations, which you got to ask yourself, why do they have shell corporations? And then it ends up $40,000 for the big guy. And, you know, as you follow the trail, all the circular trail of the money, it's just another week, another corrupt business deal that there is no, you know, anything. And we even have an email from the bank saying, yeah, we don't even, you know, we shouldn't even be doing business with these people. They're not selling a product. They're just laundering money, basically. So, yeah, you know.
And we have that email. I want to get into that email with you, but let me just show you what your Democrat colleagues are saying, because New York Congressman Dan Goldman seems to be the new Adam Schiff. He claims that there's evidence that Hunter Biden's laptop was manipulated by Rudy Giuliani, or maybe it was manipulated by Russia. Goldman making these comments during a House Judiciary hearing while grilling journalist Michael Schellenberger. Watch this.
You've talked about the Hunter Biden laptop and how the FBI knew it existed. You are aware, of course, that the laptop, so to speak, that was published in the New York Post was actually a hard drive that the New York Post admitted here was not authenticated as real. It was not the laptop the FBI had. You're aware of it, right? To know it was the same contents. You have no idea. You know hard drives can be manipulated. The problem is that hard drives can be manipulated by Rudy Giuliani or Russia.
But what's the evidence that that happened?
Well, there is actual evidence of it, but the point is it's not the same. There's no evidence.
I mean, Congressman, it's unbelievable the point that Dan Goldman is trying to make to actually suggest that the Biden laptop is not real after all of this, that it was manipulated. How do you respond?
Yeah. Well, my buddy Dan Goldman represents a very left-wing area. I mean, they're a bunch of flat Earth left-wingers. They don't. You know, they're just going to take the talking points of the DNC or whatever Marxist group is feeding them, and regurgitate them. This is obviously to think that Rudy Giuliani manipulated a hard drive. I doubt he could turn the thing on, much less figure out where the hard drive was. It's totally ridiculous. This thing is just, we're over the target, and they know it, and that's why they're firing, and it's all becoming personal attacks, and it's not, there's no reality in what the Democrats are putting out right now, Maria.
So let's talk about that memo that you just referred to. House Oversight Committee released this 2018 email. It's from a bank money laundering investigator who raised concerns about unusual and erratic activity related to more than a dozen wire transfers to accounts belonging to Hunter Biden. He said the payments did not appear to relate to any services rendered. The investigator flags a deal made with China. That's the $5 million initial investment that you just referred to. It writes this, specifically Hunter Biden's $1.5 billion deal with the Chinese state to establish a private equity firm in which they manage the funds over time and make huge fees. The management company's purpose is to invest in companies that benefit the Chinese government. Thus, the activity on the account appears unusual with no current business purposes. Kim Strassel, with an op-ed this morning in the Journal, writing about this as well. She writes, Hunter Biden's missing services. She writes, a bank examiner raising concerns about the president's son's account in 2018. Tell me more about this, because the line that I think is most telling in Kim's op-ed, she says the investigator queried why anyone was getting paid millions of dollars in fees when it does not appear there were services rendered. So what was going on here? They were paying for what?
Well, as usual, Maria, you're at the tip of the spear of what's going on when others are kind of floundering. What is going on? It's obviously the Chinese Communist government and their mobsters basically are getting influence with the U.S. government through Hunter Biden, through their dad. It's just as just black and white right there in front of you. $5 million. What is Hunter Biden? What is his qualifications other than hookers and crack cocaine? I mean, honestly, which are on his laptop, by the way. This thing just goes on and on and on. And the Democrats, you see now, the only person really defending them is Goldman, because the rest have pulled off. They see this thing where it's headed, and they know this just is getting worse and worse. Every week, Jamie Comer and his folks and the folks in the committee, the research folks, find something new. And they are going through this with a fine-tooth comb. And I can assure you, Maria, there is more. There is millions of dollars more. And this is just another incident where, I mean, literally, the largest enemy we have in the world, the United States has right now, outside of our own debt and stupidity and the border security issue, is the Chinese government, communist government. And they are funding millions of dollars through who is now the President of the United States. That ought to draw some incredible investigations, you would think. Can you imagine if it was Trump? I mean, they're on him because he sold, crappy ties and cheap steaks, but he had a product. Yeah. And this guy has no product other than access, Maria. And you and I know it, and the world knows it. The Democrats know it, and shame on them for just not coming clean on this.
Well, look, this email is designating a PEP. That's an acronym for politically exposed person when referring to Hunter. And the big issue here is that they are concerned about all of this money flowing from China into Hunter Biden's account. And that it's in black and white in this email from the bank money laundering expert. My question to you, final question here, Congressman, is anything really going to happen here? I mean, what is the plan in terms of this impeachment inquiry?
Well, I hope we go ahead with it, Maria, because the evidence is there. But will it go anywhere after that? You got to ask yourself, where is the Justice Department in all this, Maria? I mean, why are they compromised? Why are they not looking into this? Why are they turning a blind eye to this? That is where the real corruption lies, I'm afraid, in our government right now. And it is the swamp. And you know it, and I know it, and the American public knows it. And it's time to get to the bottom of it. And we need to call it out at every time. And thank you for doing so.
Thank you. It's very, very disturbing, Congressman. So thanks for your work, and we'll be watching your leadership on this. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.